Clutch Trucker filmed before a live studio audience. That's Rusty, the world-famous Meatball Dog. Hey YouTube, Clutch Trucker here. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Clutch Trucker channel. Okay, subject of today's video is... everything is your fault, drivers. Everything. Yeah, until you've gotten into trucking, this is something that every truck driver who's been in it for a while knows. Everything is your fault, drivers. So if you're thinking about becoming a driver, just know this ahead of time, and maybe you'll get a little bit ready for it. You still won't be ready for it, but everything's your fault. If you're ever late to a shipper or receiver, your fault. It doesn't matter why. Say, a giant pigeon landed on the freeway in front of you and gave birth to a flaming porcupine. And there was afterbirth all over the highway, and cars are skidding off and crashing in front of you, and the highway shut down for hours. Your fault. You should have known about that. You should have known that was going to happen. You should have planned for that. Believe me, this is the crap I hear. Like I say, some ass wagon flips over on the highway, shuts the highway down for 3 hours. No, that's your fault. You should have known about that. You should have planned for that. A good example is the Nebraska video I did. A lot of people said, well, you shouldn't have been out there in the first place. Well, the roads were fine when I was out there initially. Then I got stuck behind this crash. It shut the highway down for 3 hours. Then when I had to get moving again, now it's dark, it's evening, and there's not going to be many places to park. I was trying to make it up to the Petro in New York, where I reserved a spot. And the roads were getting really bad. Everyone would say, well, you shouldn't have been out there. You shouldn't have been out there. Where am I going to go? Where do you want me to park? Okay? I was trying to get to a safe place. But, that's my fault. It's my fault. I should have known some ass wagon was going to flip over and crash into the median and take out a couple of cars with him. I should have known that. It's all our fault. It's always our fault, drivers. So know that. You're going to hear that all the time. You can plan ahead all you want. You can't plan for everything. You can plan, I generally plan an extra hour at least in every run, every day, to, for extra traffic or a backup or two here and there. But sometimes it's not enough. But, you can't realistically plan hours and hours and hours into your schedule, or you'd never get anywhere. But it's your fault. It's your fault. Are shippers and receivers ever running behind and late? Yes! All the time! But yet somehow it's still your fault. Of course it is. They can be late. We can never be late. But they can be late all the time. And God forbid you're ever late for an appointment at a shipper or receiver. Because even if you're a minute late, 5 minutes late, what have you, well, you're late. So now if they're running behind, well, they use that as the excuse to hold you there for hours and hours and hours. Well, you were late. And then, of course, you don't qualify for detention time because you were late by 5 minutes. Even though the shipper or receiver may have held you there for 9.5 hours, you were late. So detention's out the frickin' window. That's why I try to always be on time to shippers and receivers. You can't plan for everything, like I say. And a lot of places, I'll plan an hour ahead of time. Well, what if nothing slows me down? A lot of places won't even let you on the property more than a half hour before your appointment. Okay? Walmart, a lot of them have changed, but a few years ago, so Sterling, Illinois, I can tell you, for example, they won't let you onto the property more than a half hour before your appointment time. Now, however, when you get there, there's a line of trucks waiting to check in at the guard shack. Okay, I get there a half hour early like I'm supposed to, no more than that, but it takes 45 minutes to get checked in at the guard shack because of the line of the trucks in front of me. Well, they don't count you on time until now they've given you your door. You go to your door, you got to back in, you got to drop your trailer. You got to unhook, you got to drive over to the bobtail area. You got to go check it inside. That's when they officially check you in. Well, now I'm late, even though I was there a half hour early. Not my fault, and yet it's my fault. Luckily, most of the Walmarts have changed that policy, and if they hadn't, I wouldn't be going to them anymore. Because that's an utter big giant can of flaming bullshit. Some places still pull crap like that, though. So just know it, driver. It's your fault. The place I got loaded on Thursday. I had a 1 p.m. appointment on Thursday. I got there probably, 15 minutes before. 12:45. Checked in. Showed on my log, 15 minutes, loading, because that's all you got to show legally. And those of you who keep arguing, well, you have to show on duty the whole time you're getting loaded. No. Am I loading the truck? If I was loading the truck, yes. Once I back into the dock, I'm popped into the sleeper berth. No, I don't have to show on duty time. So those of you who keep arguing that with me, you're wrong. Anyway, yeah, so of course it took him, I didn't actually bump into the dock because they made me wait for the guy in dock 7 to pull out first. And so then I backed into the dock, and it was still a good 3 hours after that before they started loading me. And it's redonkulous. And when I went in to complain, afterwards, actually the guy was pretty nice. I said this in my last video. He was apologizing to me. But still, it doesn't help me out. I'm still on the clock, still killing my time. Thank God they changed the rules, and I can stop that 14. But that in later caused issues because, of course, then by the time I got parked at 5:30 the next morning, and I tried to do some work on the truck, and then I went and took a shower, and then everybody and their dog is calling me. I'm trying to sleep now. This is my break, and they're all calling me because it's daytime. I shouldn't be asleep in the daytime. Well, yeah, I should. I wanted to be. And yet, because I didn't get enough sleep, and I was going to try to make it home for the vaccine thing, everybody and their dog kept calling me. Finally, I shut the ringer off my phone after the last call at like 5:30 p.m., and I was still hardly getting any sleep, and I was really pissed off at that point. When I woke up at 1 o'clock, because I needed to leave by 2 to make that happen, listened to the voicemail, and no, my vaccine appointment in Cheyenne got canceled. And I said, okay, fine. Well, that's probably better anyway, because I hardly got any sleep. I need to get a good amount of sleep after I'd been up for 26 hours and then got hardly any sleep with people still calling me. And then, was finally able to get decent sleep after that. But still, so I went back to bed and did the safe thing and got a good amount of sleep before I got back out on the road. But, of course, this is my fault. Because it wasn't a shipper or receiver, but I won't say much more than that. But I was trying to get home, and that was an issue too. It's my fault. Everything's your fault as a driver. Just keep that in mind. Everything is your fault. Was I happy about all the delays? No. Was I happy about everybody bugging me during my rest time when I'm trying to sleep? No. Pissed me off. That's also why I didn't sleep well after that. But, it's my fault for them not being on time. Company drivers, I know, even when I was an owner-operator, this is part of the reason I left Indian Creek Express. If I didn't sleep good the night before for one reason or another, and I'm on my way back, and they say, well, you were in the sleeper berth for 16 hours. Why didn't you get back out on the road sooner? Because I was tired. I was doing the right thing and making sure I got enough sleep. I'm sorry. You want me to crash and blow your load instead? You jack-offs? No. So to sum up, sorry I'm ranting, I'm just pissed off. And this every driver, if you've been out here any time at all, you've dealt with this. Shippers and receivers can always run late. They can always run late. A great example I have for you. When I worked, I was working for Turquoise Trucking, and I had to deliver at the Kroger in Aurora, Colorado. And if any of you have been there, you know what I'm talking about. That is one of the worst for holding you up for hours and hours and hours. Part of the problem is their lumper is capstone, or as I call them, crapstone, because that's what they are. They're a bunch of crap. Lumpers are the biggest scam in this frickin' business anyway. So, now, I was early, a half hour early for my appointment. They made me wait 6 hours before they put me in a door. 2.5 hours later, they still hadn't started unloading. I went back in and complained, and I said, look, this is ridiculous. You're holding me hostage. You don't have a bathroom available for me. I can't take the dog out. This is ridiculous. And he said, well, if that's your attitude, you might as well leave. I said, fine. I'm frickin' out of here, Jack. And I did. I left. Probably something you shouldn't do, but boy, haven't you always wanted to do that, drivers? I have a video all about it way back when I first started doing these videos. Yeah, I frickin' left. Went and parked for the night, got a good night's sleep, called the broker before I was finished that day and said, look, you got to reschedule this. They held me up for 8.5 hours. That is ridiculous. It's not okay. I'm not going to go with that. And you owe me detention time. Actually, it was a decent broker. They paid me the detention time for the 6.5 hours after my appointment. After we give them 2 hours, After that, they gave me the first day, and they rescheduled it for the next day. It didn't penalize me. I went back the next day, of course. Kroger still held me up 6.5 hours that day, but I got another 4.5 hours of detention. You know, that's great to a point, but that doesn't pay you what you would get if you were rolling. Okay, because you only get anywhere from like $12 to $30 at the most. Generally closer to the $12 an hour for detention. It doesn't make it up for you, and you're killing all your time, and you're not getting sleep. You're not getting rest. Do you sleep well when you're at a shipper receiver? No, you don't. Big bunch of bullshit. And you would think people like your company that you work for might actually back you up on that, and most of them don't. That's a lot of the reason I work for Turquoise Trucking, is they back me up, because they even tell you. They say, if you're just plain tired and you're not going to make it for one reason or another, pull over and get some rest instead of dumping the load on the highway. They back you up. Doesn't matter why, they will back you up. And that's why I work for Turquoise Trucking. They back me up in every situation like that. If it's been bad roads, bad highways, something happened, an accident shut the road down, they've always backed me up. So that's good, and you want that. If your company's giving you crap about that, drivers, that you were still late and they're not going to back you up for one reason or another, just if they're not backing you up because you were tired and you felt like you needed to get off the road just to be safe, you're working for the wrong company. There are some that actually get it. The company I work for gets it. All right, so sorry for ranting. Hope you didn't mind that. Just to summarize, if you're getting into trucking, just know it's always your fault. It will always be your fault. And grab a thick skin to put over the skin you got, because everybody will always be blaming you. You should have known. You should have been able to plan for that. It's, blah, 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 blah. But God forbid, if you're ever late by a minute or two at a shipper or receiver, well, they use that as the excuse to hold you there for hours. There's nothing you can do about it at that point. I always try to be on time, but there's times you just can't be. Like I say, a giant penguin gives birth to a flaming porcupine on the road. Which I'd like to see that, by the way. I'd buy that for $1. Okay, I'm done. All right, well, thanks for letting me rant. I just had to vent a little bit. It's always your fault, drivers. Always your fault. Right, Rusty? He forgives me. He doesn't get mad at me if I'm running late. He just, as long as I give him his, canned... That was just the air dryer going off, Rusty. Canned food in the morning is dry food at night, and occasionally some bacon strips or something if he helps me do the videos. Then he's a happy dog, right? Hey, please subscribe. Please like and comment if you would like to. I get to your comments. Sometimes takes a day or two because I'm a working truck driver. Ring the bell for notifications so you know when new videos come out or when we go live and so forth. Also, don't forget about Clutch Trucker on Instagram, Clutch Trucker on Twitter. I try to put up little daily, or when I said bi-daily the other time, somebody said, well, that means twice a day. So what's the other one that you mean? I don't know. Every other day or so. I try to do those a little more often. So check those out. And also Coffee and Coffee, what's the other one? Patreon, if you feel like supporting the channel. Down in the description, we'd appreciate that. And as always, sniff that magic YouTube fairy dust. Clutch and Rusty, out. RoboCap, do you have anything to say to the kids that are watching? Stay out of trouble. Sleepy. Rusty is sleepy.